are welcome to SBC 103D, which is Protection Agencies and Community Relations. So we are still on the Unit 5 that talks about the community-based policing approach. And for the fifth session, we're going to deal with issues of police civil liability and ensuring effective police community relations. The public and the police should be mindful of the things that could create tension between the community and then the police. Hence, this topic. And at the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the concept of police civil liability, state the factors that could make the police liable in light of duty. So we will begin by talking about the concept of police civil liability. And I believe that you've heard of civil liability. What is it? Okay. So the concept of police civil liability means that in a line of duty, the police officer should ensure that their actions are grounded in law and that their actions do not affect others negatively, such as causing damage to the reputation of others without any justifiable cause, harassing citizens, and negligently act in a way that cause harm to citizens. The purpose of this is to ensure that the police does not abuse their power or unjustifiably make life difficult for citizens that they have sworn an oath to protect. Individual police officers are mostly held accountable in such civil offences to citizens and properties. A citizen may sue the police, and it's very important for such an offence if they feel that their rights are trampled on by the police. The punishment could range from fines or suspension or reduction in the rank of the officer. Below are some of the actions of the police which they could face civil liabilities. The first that we talk about will be false arrests, and it is one of the commonest areas where police have been held for civil liabilities. Sometimes one wonders whether the police merely want to display power over citizens in such matters. False arrest has to do with the detention of person by the police without any justifiable basis in law or without any probable cause. It also includes an arrest or detention of a person without any proper or valid warrant. In such a situation, if the individual who was treated this way takes the matter up for prosecution, the police could be held liable for such offense. And the second thing we'll talk about will be failure to protect police. The second thing we'll talk about will be failure to protect property in police custody. And usually, when the police sees any contraband goods, it is expected that such goods or property are securely kept under the police custody until investigations are concluded. What do you see? It is the duty of the police in such a situation to keep the goods properly. Therefore, if the goods or properties are not secured, or they get missing, or tampered with, the police could be held liable for such an offense. I hope you're following. Good. The next thing we talk about will be violation of constitutional rights of citizens. There are clear procedures on how the police are supposed to be treated and to treat alleged offenders. They are expected to ensure that due process is followed to the latter. For instance, when suspects are arrested, the police should tell them exactly what offenses, as well as their rights under the circumstance. For instance, an expected way of arresting somebody is to tell the person his crime, being it rape, defilement, or whatever, and tell him his or her rights and responsibilities. The rights for to have a counsel of his choice, and so on and so forth. The third thing we will talk about will be the fourth thing actually will be failure to prevent a foreseeable crime. The crime of the core duties of the police is to prevent crime. And crime prevention entails the gathering of intelligence, which has been described as lifeblood of crime prevention. Sometimes the police could gather credible intelligence on an impending crime, which they are ordinarily expected to act on. However, in some instances, they fail to act on such life-saving information, and as a result, crimes are committed. I hope you're following. Good. The fifth thing we will talk about will be inappropriate use of minimum force. And minimum force, we talked about discretion. So deadly force, as far as law enforcement is concerned, refers to the application of reasonable force to calm a situation or to bring it under control. The police, as a law enforcement agencies, are clothed with the power to use minimum force. This force is not supposed to be used capriciously, but must be used when there is clear justification. For example, during protests, if the police lives are clearly in danger, they justified if they use minimum force to bring protesters under control. The last thing we'll talk about will be malicious prosecution, and that is very important because when the police officer prosecutes a person or a firm with an intention apart from the one that is grounded in law, it is seen as malicious. And it mostly happens when some of the police officers want to show citizens where power lies. I believe you might have heard that before. That's a police officer, when he wants to show you, he arrests you on Friday, goes on weekend, will not come on Monday, come on Tuesday morning, and then take you to court. Good. All too soon, we've come to the end of the session. You were introduced to the concept of police criminal liability and some factors that could make the police liable to such civil cases. You have also learned that the purpose of such civil liability is to ensure that the police is in enforcement of the law, which acts within the confines of the constitution of the country. I believe you get it. Good. Join me as we continue with the units, the last session of the units, where we talk about the challenges of the community-based policing approach. And it promises to be interesting as it has always been. Until we meet for that discussion. Bye for now. Thank you.